Hello, this is Tony Heller from RealClimateScience.com. Last summer, Phoenix had 23 rainy days. That was the most rainy days Phoenix has had during summer since 1896. And later in the year, a Christmas storm set a new rainfall record for Phoenix. This summer, the Southwest is receiving historic amounts of rain. Central Arizona is forecast to receive an additional 5 inches of rain over the next 10 days. The ski lifts at the Arizona Snow Bowl in Flagstaff are closed once again today because of too much rain. The press describes all of this rain as being the worst mega drought in at least 1,200 years. But they say something even worse than the mega drought and earthquakes is coming to California. NBC News: climate change is increasing the chances of a California mega flood, experts warn. USA Today, August 13th, 2022. Megadrought may be the main concern across the West right now amid the constant threat of wildfires and earthquakes. But a new study warns another crisis is looming in California: mega floods. Climate change is increasing the risk of floods that could submerge cities and displace millions of people across the state, according to a study released Friday. The study says that an extreme month-long storm could bring feet of rain, in some places more than 100 inches, to hundreds of miles of California. Similarly, unrelenting storms have happened in the past before the region became home to tens of millions of people. Now each degree of global warming is dramatically increasing the odds and size of the next mega flood, the study says. The last time this happened in California was in 1862. It was the largest flood in the recorded history of Oregon, Nevada, and California. The flood occurred during December 1861 and January 1862. It brought 10 feet of water to California. The flood extended as far as Idaho, Washington, Utah, Arizona, and New Mexico. Sacramento, California was underwater for weeks, and the state literally went bankrupt. The capital of California had to be moved to San Francisco for a while because Sacramento was underwater. Michael Mann's hockey stick is the most holy document of the climate religion. According to their belief system, the last time California had a mega flood like this, it was very cold. But there's been no mega floods over the last 160 years, even as they claim the climate has warmed dramatically. 100% of the available data indicates that mega floods are more likely to happen when it's cold than when it's warm. This shouldn't be surprising because coastal California gets essentially all of their rain during the cold winter and almost none during the warm summer. The study claimed that each degree of global warming is dramatically increasing the odds and size of the next mega flood, but the data shows the exact opposite. There have been no mega floods in the past 160 years as the climate has warmed. In other words, there's no science in this study at all. They describe an extreme month-long storm that could bring feet of rain, in some places more than 100 inches, which is a description of the 1862 storm. The entire study may have consisted of spending a few minutes reading Wikipedia, and then parroting the standard superstition that global warming is making everything worse. I've been studying the 1862 flood in California for a long time. I found this document from the Historical Society of Southern California, dated 1890, to be very useful. Exceptional Years: A History of California Floods and Drought. The really interesting thing about the record rain of 1861 and 1862 in California is that it was followed immediately by one of the worst droughts in California's history. There was almost no rain in parts of California from 1862 to 1865. It is said that 30,000 head of cattle died on the Stearns Ranchos alone. The Great Drought of 1863 to 1864 put an end to cattle raising as the distinctive industry of Southern California. 160 years ago, bulls were a key part of the economy of Southern California, but that's been replaced by bull excrement. Alternating drought and floods is the normal climate of California. In 1977, Governor Brown said drought-stricken California was facing a disaster of immeasurable magnitude. But a few months later, California and Arizona were flooded. The floods lasted for at least 3 winters. In February 1980, the I-17 bridge over the Agua Fria River in Arizona washed out and killed many people. The Salt River in Phoenix had more water than the Mississippi River. I was living in Scottsdale, Arizona on the north side of the river and working in Tempe on the south side. All of the bridges in Phoenix washed out except for the oldest bridge, the Mill Avenue Bridge. The loss of the bridges caused a massive traffic jam, and I remember spending several hours a day trying to cross the river. Alternating floods and drought is the normal climate of California in the West. And these claims of the worst megadrought in 1,200 years is patently absurd. California has had very severe droughts in the past, which lasted almost 200 years. The 20th century was the wettest century on record in California. And now when they get a few months of dry weather, the press and academics claim it's the worst megadrought in 1,200 years. It's all fake news all the time from climate academics and the press. Toto's been pulling back the curtain on these scamsters for the past 14 years. You can visit him, Kyrie Caesar, Toka Yanupala on the web at realclimatescience.com.